because China is occupying Cuba right now. That means it's gone. And they were getting ready to make a big, if the election wasn't rigged, the Cuban thing would have been taken care of, and people could have gone back and forth to Cuba. Cubans, I'm talking about. They could have seen their family. They wouldn't have the problems that they have right now. He's given everything to Cuba and the dictator and dictators, and you know what that was. But it's incredible that this can be allowed to happen. So unless I get back in which case I will inform China that they have 48 hours to get any military and spy equipment out of Cuba. Or I will drop the hammer, and there will be tariffs unlike anything that China's ever seen before. And, you know, I took in hundreds of billions of dollars of taxes and tariffs from China. No other president has taken in 10 cents, not 10 cents. Took in hundreds of billions, gave $28 billion to the farmers because they were mistreated by China. Who else does that? Who the hell else would do that? You tell me. They know. But he wants to do nothing because he can't. He's really bound to not do anything. Never forget, our enemies want to stop me because I'm the only one who can stop them. And I'm stopping them because of you. I didn't need this. I didn't need it. If these corrupt persecutions succeed, they will complete their takeover of this country and destroy your way of life forever. And that's where it's going. That's where it's going. It's a disgrace. They want to take away my freedom because I will never let them take away your freedom. It's very simple. They want to silence me because I will never let them silence you. And in the end, they're not after me, they're after you, and I just happen to be standing in their way. That's all it is. That's all it is. Very simple, actually. Ultimately, the radical left lunatics are coming after all of us because they know that our allegiance is not to them, our allegiance is to our country and to our Creator. And that's why under Biden, Christians are being persecuted like nothing this nation has ever seen before. I don't understand how people can vote, people of faith, and I'm not just talking about Christians, I'm talking about people of faith, can vote for these Democrats. They've become monsters. They're fighting you all the way on religion. You know, I watched Biden during debates when he could speak, and he was trying to say, you know, oh, I love being a Catholic. You know what they're doing to Catholics right now? There's never been an assault on Catholics, the likes of which they're having right now, what they're having to go through. Biden's corrupt DOJ has targeted parents at school board meetings. They've sent SWAT teams to arrest pro-life activists. You know that. The FBI has been caught labeling devout Catholics as domestic terrorists and sending undercover spies into Catholic churches, just as it was in the old Soviet Union days. Pretty rough stuff. Who can believe this? And how can you, as Christians, how can the people in this room vote for them? You know, they get 40%, 50%, 60% of a religious vote. How can they do that? And then they just go about trying to destroy religion. If you look at polls, you'll see religion, people of faith, but religion is going down in terms of importance and popularity. This is not a question of importance and popularity. This is a fact. We love God, and we want to protect ourselves. We want to protect the cherished position of believing in God. And I think one of the biggest problems this country has right now is as religion does go in the wrong direction, because it's something for you to adhere to and to believe in. It's so good. It keeps you sane, it keeps you honest, it keeps you good, it keeps you kind, it makes you help other people. And they're trying to take that away from you. And I just don't understand, where do they get 30, 40, 50, 60% of the vote? It just doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. They lie about their positions, and you have to remember that. In 2024, you have to remember that. Protect your vote is the most important thing, but you have to remember that. and you do have to protect your vote. They want to destroy your religion, along with the fact that they obviously want to destroy your country. When you have open borders, when you have no voter ID, why do they not want voter ID? Because they want to cheat. Even the Democrats voted 82% in favor. Democrats, people that vote, Democrats voted 82% in favor of voter ID, but the politicians don't want it because they want to cheat. And with voter ID, it's very much harder to cheat. They're mean and they're very, very sick. They are mean and they are very sick. Over the next 16 months, our enemies will try harder than ever to divide us and to destroy us. The lies, abuse, and injustice that will come our way will be worse than ever before in the history of our country. To persevere, we must stand tall, we must stand strong. We have to be strong. We have to be stronger than ever before because they're coming at us. There's something wrong with these people. And I don't like saying that. You know, as president, you're the president of everyone. So I don't like saying that. But there is something wrong with these people, and we have to stand together, or we're not going to have a country anymore. The more they throw at us, the more united we must become. The more vile the attacks, the more relentlessly they go after us. We must keep pushing forward no matter what. You just keep pushing forward. That's what I do. I get up. People say to me, "Sir, can I ask you a question? How the hell do you take it?" I say, do I have a choice? I don't have a choice, right? Do I have a choice? I'd love not to have to, but they're crazy people with they're lunatics. I've had the most successful business people in the country come up to me, a man who's one of the most successful, a vicious guy, very tough guy. I don't like him even. He thinks I'm his friend. I'm not, because he's a bad person. Unlike Governor Huckabee, who's a good person. He's actually tougher than this guy, but he's also a good person, the governor. But I tell you, he came up to me and he said, "Could I ask you one question? How do you get up in the morning? Every day they're coming at you with a different deal. I mean, it started with spying on your campaign. Then it went to the different impeachments and hoaxes and indictments. And how do you do it?" And I actually said to him, it's like it almost becomes a weapon of war. You have to fight these people and you have to beat them. We beat them now for 4 years and now afterwards. And by the way, if I weren't running right now, or if I was losing big in the polls instead of winning by the biggest numbers I've ever had, think of it, biggest numbers I've ever had, not even close, they would stop in 2 minutes, I believe. Although maybe the hatred is so great. Actually, Lindsay and Mike, I think the hatred's so great they probably wouldn't stop. I think they would keep going, right? In my case. Normally they would stop, but in my case, I think they'd probably keep on going. But if I didn't run, or if I would say, you know, I'm not going to run, or if my numbers were bad, where it looked like I wasn't going to make it, they wouldn't be focusing on me. They would focus on whoever was leading, and they would go after that person, male or female, just as viciously as they go after me. And that person would not be able to handle it. That's why you have no choice but to vote for Donald Trump. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you. Isn't it great? Saturday night, we're here for religion. Is that nice? And what a job Ralph has done. But this isn't my campaign. This is our campaign. This has got to be our campaign. And with your help, we're going to see through this whole. We're going to see through it. We're going to take this job right to the finish, and we're going to have a country the likes of which we've never had before, better than ever. We're going to have it better than ever. No president has ever fought for Christians as hard as I have. And I will keep on fighting, and I'll fight hard until I'm back behind that desk in the Oval Office, the resolute person. Resolute person. Thank you. Thank you very much. Hey, Ralph, I have to ask Ralph a question. Were your other candidates treated this way? I don't think so. Actually, I saw one who was booed off the stage. He was booed off. I don't think they were treated. I don't. But you know, the greatest honor is, in my case, you feel this way because we went through 4 great years. We did things that nobody thought could be done, and we're going to go into them in a minute, but we did things that nobody thought could be done. So when you do feel this way, I really feel good because that means you accepted and loved what we did in that 4 years. We did more than probably any, and many people say this, more than any president. We rebuilt our military. What we did is so incredible. We did it together. I did it because of you. I was helped by you, and we had your support, and it was amazing. So I'm very gratified to get that kind of support, because in my case, it's not just words. You know, when I first came in, I said, I'm going to do this, I'm going to cut taxes, and I'm going to cut regulations, and I'm going to do all these things. And, you know, people would say, yeah, okay, it's just words because it's a politician. All of a sudden, I become a politician. I never had that moniker before, but all of a sudden, I become a politician. But I did all the things, but I actually did much more than I ever promised I'd do. So it makes me feel very good. We totally transformed the federal judiciary, appointing nearly 300 judges, a record, to interpret the law and the Constitution as written. I withstood vicious attacks to confirm 3 great Supreme Court justices, Neil Gorsuch, Brett Kavanaugh, and Amy Coney Barrett. And I just hope, because they're under tremendous assault and pressure. I mean, they are. Look, you know what, you see what's going on. In the sports world, they call it playing the ref. You know, they say horrible, horrible things, and some people change. A lot of them change, and we can't let that happen. I just hope that these justices, who are brilliant and very good people, I hope they remain strong in the face of the harassment and intimidation that is coming their way and has come their way by the radical left lunatics. I just hope they can withstand it. I hope they don't go to the other side so they feel a little bit better about going out to dinner. That happens so often. With politicians it happens, but it happens with judges. And we hope that's not going to happen with them or any of our judges. Exactly 1 year ago today, those justices were the pivotal votes in the Supreme Court's landmark decision ending the constitutional atrocity known as Roe v. Wade. Thank you. Conservatives had been trying for 50 years, exactly 50 years. Amazing that today is the day. I don't know. Did you set this up on purpose? Was that done purposely? This is the day, 1 year. I mean, today is the birthday of that decision. Did you do that? I mean, it wasn't just by a fluke, right? I assume you did. Whether you did or not, this is the birthday, so it was pretty good. And Ralph's birthday, too. That was set up, too. Something strange is going on here. You know what they'll say? It's Trump's fault. It's Trump's fault. But I got it done, and nobody thought it was even a possibility. They've been fighting. Good people, strong people, smart people have been fighting for 50 years, and it never even came close to getting done. I don't believe they've ever even taken a vote. I mean, never even came close. It was something that wasn't going to happen. I got it done. I get a kick out of these candidates and even the other side. Well, I don't know. I think I'm more pro-life. I'm this. And somebody stood up, a woman stood up and said, this guy ended Roe v. Wade. How the hell can you go against him? And I sort of said that myself, actually. But I'm proud to be the most pro-life president in American history. I'm proud. Thank you. Thank you. From my first day in office, I took historic action to protect the unborn. Very historic. Nobody else did anything near what we did. And it put us in such a great position, that victory. That victory, we'll go into it, but that victory is a tremendous victory in so many different ways, because they are the radical people. When they're willing to kill a child after birth, they're willing. You know, take it beyond the 9 months. They are the radical people. They are the people that are really in trouble with the Lord. I reinstated and expanded the Mexico City policy. You know what that is? That was a big deal. Nobody else did it. Stop taxpayer funding for abortion providers. And at the United Nations, I made clear that global bureaucrats have no business attacking the sovereignty of nations that protect innocent life. And I did these things, and I took heat, and I also got great love. I mean, you know, you have two sides to it, but I got great love. And I was the first sitting president ever to attend the March for Life rally right here in Washington, D.C. Under my leadership, we did more to uphold religious freedom than any administration in history by far. I could name some very good presidents that most of the people in this room would like, and they didn't attend the rally, and they didn't do the things we did, like the Mexico City policy. They didn't do anything, and yet most of the people in this room would like some of the people I would name. But we did it all. We fearlessly protected the conscience, rights of doctors, nurses, teachers, and faith groups like the Little Sisters of the Poor, who were treated so badly. We came to their rescue. We stopped the Johnson Amendment from interfering with pastors' free speech under retaliation of terminating tax exemption. They really went after people. I was in a room and I said, why don't you speak up more? And I had 50 pastors in the room, 2 rabbis, 50 pastors. We had a number of religious leaders, heavy on the pastors, I will say that. But they said to me, I said, I want to hear you. They said, we really can't speak because of the Johnson Amendment. This was in 2015, just before I announced. I said, that means that, explain it to me. If we speak out, and if the government wants to, they will take away our tax-exempt status. I said, so you have less power, and you're the people that I want to hear from. You have less power than, we were in Trump Tower, 60 stories up, looking down. I said, than any people walking on that sidewalk outside. He said, yes, in many ways we do. We can't speak up. And I got it so that the people that we want to hear can now speak up, so that Mike Huckabee spoke up anyway. I don't know. Did this have any? I don't think it had much impact on you. It had no impact on Mike. But it had a lot of impact on a lot of other people, and they have been speaking up, and it's important that they do so. I issued guidance making clear that the right to freedom of worship does not end at the door of a public school. Public schools are in tremendous trouble. And I was the first and only president to convene a meeting at the United Nations to end religious persecution worldwide. No other president has ever brought it up. As president, I stood proudly with our friend and ally, the State of Israel. I did more for Israel, they say, than any other president. I kept my promise, recognized Israel's eternal capital, Jerusalem, and opened the American embassy in Jerusalem. And I tell the story that sometimes, I don't know, it's maybe more of a good business story, but a general stood before me with something to sign, executive order, because I had won that battle. And it was a bill, essentially, for $2 billion to build an embassy in Jerusalem. And I said, General, what is this for? Sir, this is to build an embassy in Jerusalem. I said, this says $2 billion. How can you spend $2 billion on, like, I envisioned it as a one-story building, right? Nobody in this room, if you're in the real estate business, would spend quite that much. Maybe you'd spend like $2. But I said, how can you ask for $2 billion? Well, that's what they told. By the time you buy the land, sir, and you build the building and everything else, it's going to cost $2 billion. So I called up our ambassador and I said, David, see if there's something we have there already. We own a lot of land in Jerusalem. Do we have a great piece? And maybe it has like a little building on it where we can fix it up real cheap and we can. See, I'll always be in the real estate business, you know. I'll always love that business, and I love that business. We did great at that business. That's a great business, but very creative. And I said, see what you have. They called me back 2 days later, said, sir, we have a fantastic site. We've owned it for many, many years. You know, we were there sort of like early on first. We have a great site, and there's a building on it that's been essentially abandoned, but it's a very strong structure. And we think we could fix it up and get it open very quickly. I said, how does it compare with the site that we're going to buy, that they want to buy for a ridiculous amount of money? By the way, that particular person who owned that site is not happy with me, I can tell you. That is not a person. We're going to pay hundreds of millions of dollars for this site. So I said, what do you think of the building? Well, I think we could fix it up. So they called me back a week later. I sent some people over. They said, sir, we can build a new embassy for $400,000. I said, let me ask you a question. It's the only time I ever said this. I said, listen, it sounds too cheap. We got to make it more. No, it actually sounded, I never did that. Usually I'll say, make it 200,000. I said, we got to make it more. It doesn't sound right. But a friend of mine in a big building in Manhattan has beautiful white stone, beige, beautiful beige and white stone opposite his elevator bank. And every time I go into that building, he says, now he says president, but he used to say, Donald, look at the stone, it's so beautiful. And after saying it to me like 12 times, I said, what is it? He said, it's Jerusalem stone. It's so beautiful, very, very expensive. He's a very rich guy. He talks about the cost of stone, right? That's why he's rich, I guess, right? When you think. But he said, it's so beautiful, and I'm so proud of it. Jerusalem stone. So now I'm sitting here talking about building something in Jerusalem, and we're going to do a renovation of an existing building. And I said, listen, can we wrap that building in Jerusalem stone? Is it expensive? They said, absolutely not. We're in Jerusalem. We can buy it for free. So the whole building is made out of Jerusalem stone. Isn't that good? Sort of good. A little business story. But I did something else. And we got it built. You know, that thing would have never been built, the $2 billion building. It would have been years and years and years. And you might not have, they probably would have ended the whole concept of even moving the embassy to Jerusalem. It would have. So we got it built. And there's no reason to do any better because it's really a beautiful embassy, one of our nicest embassies, I think. But someday they'll come along and say, let's waste billions of dollars and do it the way we originally planned. But it's a great embassy, and was very proud to do it. But we did something else that they weren't even asking for. The most pro-Israel people weren't even asking. I recognized Israeli sovereignty over the Golan Heights. And that has been going on. And that has been going on for 51 years. They've been trying to get that. People would fly in, fly out. They'd have meetings every 2 years. People would fly in, talk about it, fly out. I brought some people that truly knew Israel and understand Israel. I said, explain Golan Heights to me. You have 5 minutes or less. And they did it in about 3 minutes. But they talked about the importance. They talked about the height, the visibility, the military protection, all of the different things. And I approved it. And nobody even asked for it because they thought that was too far-fetched. But I got Golan Heights approved for Israel. And nobody talks about that one, but that was a big one. And then the biggest of all, but this administration has totally blown it. I pulled out of the horrible, horrible, one-sided, miserable Iran nuclear deal, which was expiring just about now anyway. And they were ready, had the election gone the way it should have gone, they were ready to make any deal with me. And as you know, I said to China, you can't buy. If you buy, we're not going to do business with you. Okay, we won't buy. No oil from Iran. Nobody was buying oil. They were ready to make a deal. We would have made a great deal for everybody. They would have been terrific. We all would have. They were dying to make a deal.